Welcome to This Explainer, where we are diving headfirst into a fascinating mystery unfolding right out in the open desert. Seriously, imagine tracking a rogue, completely unmapped microwave signal that points directly into one of the most highly restricted areas on the entire planet, the Nevada Test and Training Range, or the NTTR. For weeks, the source data we're analyzing has been tracking a specific signal path that simply doesn't align with any known civilian maps. Instead, it originates from a rugged, anonymous ridge overlooking the southern boundary of the NTTR. Today, we're going to unpack exactly how one investigator traced this signal to uncover a hidden installation and what that tells us about the unseen technology flying in our skies. Our source for today's explainer kicks things off with a totally brilliant question. Is this an active military relay or just another ghost in the sand? Well, to answer that, the investigation begins on a completely nameless dirt road, stretching way off into an isolated mountain range. The goal? A grueling 6-mile trek straight through the Desert National Wildlife Refuge. The investigators' mission here is to reach that unmapped ridge, locate this supposedly secret radar site, and see exactly what the military is pointing its technology at. It's the kind of boots-on-the-ground journey that separates wild internet rumors from verifiable reality. Okay, Section 1. The Hidden Microwave Signal, Decoding the Desert Anomaly. Let's get right into it. Now, you can't just stumble onto a hidden desert anomaly like this. Pulling this off safely and legally requires a very specific set of tools and methodologies. The absolute bedrock of this entire investigation is open-source intelligence, or OSINT. That's the collection and analysis of data gathered from public open sources to produce actionable intelligence. So rather than relying on shady rumors or classified leaks, the investigator analyzed publicly available data regarding microwave paths and cross-referenced them with unmapped peaks just outside the NTTR boundary. The big takeaway for us here is just how incredibly powerful publicly accessible information can be when someone takes the time to meticulously piece it together. And building right on top of that OSINT foundation is the use of ASDB data. If you aren't familiar, this is the technology that allows aircraft to openly broadcast their location, altitude, and speed. By monitoring ASDB data, the investigator was actually able to correlate the flight patterns of classified aircraft with the activity of this totally unmapped tower. It's like a giant puzzle. By watching what is flying in the airspace directly around a facility, you can piece together what that hidden facility might actually be doing. Moving on to Section 2. Navigating the gray area, the tactical approach. Here's where things get kind of wild. There is a stark, almost absurd contrast between the legal status of this land and the reality you face on the ground. This target mountain sits in a bizarre legal gray area. Technically speaking, the original military withdrawal order for this specific pocket of the desert expired years ago. So, on paper, it's public land. But the reality? Entirely different. Rumors and actual on-the-ground observations from this investigation confirm that base security from both the Department of Energy and the Air Force still watches this area like a hawk. They patrol it exactly as if it were a highly restricted zone. Because of that intense, ever-present security, the approach required a highly stealthy 3-layered execution. Step 1 involved pushing a lifted off-road SUV, specifically a RAV4 equipped with Falcon Wild Peak tires, to its absolute limits to navigate these incredibly rocky, sketchy washouts. Once the road became totally impassable, Step 2 was deploying an electric XP4 folding e-bike. Now this is a real game changer. It allows for rapid traversal without the loud, echoing noise of a gas engine, keeping the investigator's profile extremely low. Finally, Step 3 was scaling the steepest, sandy parts of the trail on foot, relying heavily on offline GPS. And look, all this stealth was absolutely necessary. The investigator had already spotted the notorious camo dudes watching from a white Ford F-150 about 3 miles back. So while dodging security, the absolutely crucial point is maintaining strict legal boundaries. While navigating this brutal terrain, the investigator had to keep a constant eagle eye out for these little orange border posts that designate the legal end of the line. The problem is, because this area has been so neglected over the years, many of these posts have literally washed down the side of the mountain. Missing them means accidentally crossing into the NTTR perimeter. That is exactly why relying on a robust offline system like Gaia GPS is critical. You cannot give base security any excuse whatsoever to detain you.
All right, Section 3. Visualizing the target. The summit reveal.
After braving insane, howling winds at the top of the peak, the visual evidence that was finally captured is nothing short of extraordinary. But here's the thing. You can't just look across miles of wavy desert haze with the naked eye and expect to see anything useful. To get a clear line of sight into this undocumented valley, and to do it safely, heavy-duty optical gear was required. The investigator mounted a Panasonic GH5 camera on a sturdy tripod, paired with a massive 600mm lens, and then slapped a 2x teleconverter on top of that. This specific, high-powered setup provided the serious reach needed to observe the target from a safe, legal distance without tipping off the security forces down below.
And let me tell you, the payoff for that grueling hike and hauling all that heavy gear was massive. Looming right over the edge of a distant mesa was a pristine, brand new white radar dome. Right next to it were highly directional microwave dishes aimed directly toward Bald Mountain and the heavily restricted airspace inside Area 51. And to make the whole scene even more surreal, while observing the site, a classified Janet 737, one of those legendary, completely unmarked employee flights, passed directly overhead on its way to Groom Lake. Talk about perfect timing.
Which brings us to Section 4, decoding the radar tech. What are they pointing at?
Okay, so we've seen the hardware. We know it's there. But what is this multi-million-dollar infrastructure actually designed to accomplish? This is where it gets incredibly fascinating. The facility captured on camera looks almost identical to radar cross-section, or RCS, testing facilities that we've seen at other classified bases, like Junction Ranch and China Lake. Now, RCS is basically a measure of how detectable an object is by radar. It's the core metric used by the military to test and refine stealth technology. This strongly suggests that this unmapped installation isn't just some simple communications relay. No, it is likely a highly advanced telemetry site specifically built to measure the stealth signatures of the military's absolute next generation of Black Project aircraft.
And all of this highlights a totally fascinating paradox about this specific region of the Nevada desert. You see, even though massive government initiatives for this area, like the Yucca Mountain Project, were officially canceled, effectively leaving the land in a state of permanent legal limbo, this pocket of infrastructure is definitely not abandoned. Far from it. It is clearly being actively and expensively upgraded to support ongoing, highly classified operations right under our noses. As we wrap up this explainer, we really have to step back and look at the big picture. Our goal here isn't to take sides or tell you what to think, but rather to impartially present the data extracted from these hidden places. We have a newly upgraded, highly advanced telemetry site sitting on a legally ambiguous mountain, pointing its arrays directly into the skies over Area 51. So I'll leave you with this question to ponder. With this massive, ongoing investment in radar cross-section technology quietly watching the desert skies, what unseen innovations are they tracking today?